Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Percy A. Rushing and Aquila Ali. Now we're going to be discussing their incredible book, Why the N-Word Should Be Controlled. My view from both sides, being black and white, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. Man, listen, it's a lot of other places, okay? Sit back, type it into a search bar, and you're going to be greeted with all of them. But not only for this book, okay? Now, listen, we're about to get into some things, okay? This book is going to carry the discussion here today, but be on the lookout because there are another 2 books set to be released in the future. One is entitled 2 Worlds, One Mind, and next, 100 Deep. Again, both of those titles still in creation, so they're not available for purchase just yet, but you're going to want to check them out the moment they are, and the only way to do it is by checking back in frequently. Now, before I go any further, I want to quickly point out the fact that they were brought to us by Citi of Books. So for my writers out there listening in who have gone through their process, man, spending some sleepless nights at time creating your masterpiece, but you finally did it. You got there, and now you're looking at me. You're like, Benji, I need some help, brother. How do I move this book? Well, head on over to citiofbooks.com. All right, their qualified team is going to help you do just that, and they're more than equipped to help move all your creative endeavors. Man, listen, right there in the title, yeah, you know what we're discussing today. Okay, I'm at the edge of my seat, man. I'm excited about this. I have my own perspective on it. And we about to get into it. But let's be real. Like, it's funny to me, man. Like when we were doing our research in preparation for this discussion, my team and I, like, we're going around and like, we're getting into it, right? And we're like, well, Benji, well, what do you feel? Because, of course, I'm the representative black man on the squad here. So they're like, well, Benji, how do you feel about this? And I'm like, listen, it's an interesting conversation, right? The N-word, and really the dichotomy here is the N-word being controlled versus being eradicated. Now, that's interesting. And again, growing up in the communities in which I come from, like, I have my own viewpoint on this, but here's the most important aspect. People, we live in a world that loves to argue, but hates to understand, right? There's no word that stops a conversation faster than the N-word. And what I love about this is, first and foremost, it's going to initiate conversations. And most importantly, like Percy and Aquila, they're not here to tell you what to think. They're here to challenge how you think. And that's such an important delineation, man. Sit back, strap in, have your notebooks ready. There are a lot of areas of gray, and we are just going to scratch the surface here today. There's only so much we can fit into a 20-minute discussion, but I promise by the time we've concluded, man, you're going to purchase your copies, and then I'm going to challenge each and every one of you listening in. Have those conversations with those around you. Sometimes it may get uncomfortable, but that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, human beings are dynamic, man. We can have uncomfortable conversations and still be able to push forward. And that, I think, is where the power lies with this incredible book. So, yeah, let's get it started. Percy, Aquila, welcome to the network, and thank you for being guests. How you both doing today?
We're both doing good, Benji. Yeah, we're doing great.
Listen, it is a pleasure to have you guys here, man. I'm grateful to have you here on the network to have this discussion because, like I said in my opening, I think that's where the power lies, is in the conversations like this. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you've constructed. And I'm hoping that everybody that picks it up, they don't stop just with the words at the pages, but they also talk to those around them, because I think that is really where there's the movement that can develop from this. That's where it's going to happen, man, in the weeds, in those conversations. So let's first and foremost start off by learning a little bit more about each of you. Start by telling us your backgrounds, please.
Well, my name is Percy A. I'm 50 years old and out of Detroit, Michigan. Moved around a lot from the burbs to the city and just grasped a lot of life income, on how things are. That's why I'm here with some of the views that I see as well as how I think and hold myself as an individual.
Okay, and I am Aquila Ali. I am from Ypsilanti, Michigan. Born and raised EMU, marching band, band geek, all that good stuff. And I have 3 children, all teenagers, and I'm just a single mom doing the best that I can.
Well, again, welcome both of you to the network. Guys, let's start. Let's learn a little bit more about the book. I got a lot of questions, and we're going to dive into it. But give us a brief synopsis of why the N-word should be controlled.
We came up with it based on I was doing music. So a lot of us got on this topic about, the N-word being strongly used in our Black community and our Black music.
Yeah.
We know the impact it can have on people. There's a lot of people that feel uncomfortable in many different cultures and races as well. They don't like it in some other cultures. They still use it. So, but it's not used more publicly, is more just around at home or in our neighborhoods. We know that. So when it's brought to attention through music and movies, it gives a structure on, does this stand for us as Black people? Is this the strength that we use or feel that we need from this word? Or can we just be strong-minded Black people as well, just people and individuals? So, coming across topic from the music, we tried to gain copyrights of it, and we couldn't get it as an individual word. So we was challenged to make a book about it. So coming up, they wanted us to express really how I felt as a biracial child and being raised by a white grandma in the Black community at the time of how it was in Detroit through the 70s and 80s after we had the riots in the 60s and everything. Just the emphasis of this word became more and more for the Black community. So we figured, if this is going to be a good influence or a bad influence, it just needs to be kind of monitored to not have it in everybody's face where it's causing racial issues.
We just wanted to really make people think, because it's not about being, the N-word is not it doesn't have to be just a Black thing. You know what I'm saying? If we were actually all comfortable to just use it, and it's just another word, that'd be different as well. But since it's more negative than positive, we're trying to figure out a way to, just to calm it down a bit. That way people don't keep getting offended.
Well, listen, thank you for that. And I think that's a very interesting point, right? And that's where I want to go next. Like I mentioned it in my opening, the delineation. And listen, I can't find myself going anywhere else because it's in the title. It doesn't say why the N-word should be canceled, should be eradicated. It says why it should be controlled. Now, that's interesting, and I don't think it was by happenstance, right? Like, I believe you guys intentionally put that in there. Okay, so let's talk about it. In your opinion, why is it the N-word being controlled and not eradicated?
One, to be eradicated would mean to take it out of our whole vocabulary. You know what I'm saying? Most of us growing up in the Black community use it for many different greetings or whatever. So to eradicate it would mean to change the whole structure of the Black community, and we know we're not up for that.
Right.
So to control it would be since we feel as Black people we have more of the authority to use it, that it should be controlled a little bit more of how we use it and quit throwing it in people's faces that it's something that we embrace, but other people can't embrace. If we're to embrace each other as Blacks and white in America, to me, I always tell people, we came on the same ship together no matter what the situation may have been. Whether it's a joke or not, but openly, we don't know history like that truly.
Yeah.
But we want to have a little bit of sense of it and just quit being more of ignorant with it and being, useful for it and playful with it if it's going to be like that.
Mm-hmm. So listen, I'm following you and I completely agree. I think, again, as I mentioned, as a Black man raised in this country, like the communities that I was in, like it became a reclamation, right? It became a word that a lot of people that I knew growing up, it's like, we're taking this back. And there's a lot of debates, especially, I can hear it already, man. A lot of the old heads listening in right now, they're like, Benji, you got to know the history behind the word. And that's the reason why we shouldn't use it. And I get all of that. And then there's a lot of the younger generations that be like, yeah, but we're not doing it with the ER. We're doing it with the A, and that makes it okay. Okay. So there's, like I said, there's nuance to this. And you guys don't speak for the entire community, but I'm going to ask you the question because you're representatives here and you wrote this book. So when we're talking about that reclamation, when we're talking about the fact that our communities are using this, and we know good and damn well it's not going to get eradicated, they're going to continue. Okay. So for better or worse, the word is there. I'm curious, man, like you explore this word in the book and you explore language. Can language that was purely in its creation, it was born out of oppression, it was born with malice intent, can that word ever be fully cleansed in your eyes? Or is that original poison always going to be there and that residue will always remain?
Oh, that's a deep question. I would say it's a yes and a no answer. People, like I said, if it was a regular, just a word, that didn't have any emphasis whatsoever, it'd be easier to deal with. But since it has so much history, and like you said, that ER, that's what really just kind of messes it up for everybody. Like,
right.
Daily basis, all of us, we say it. We say the N word. It's just what it is. It's a family word. If really want to look at it that way, like you're not gonna just call somebody that out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You usually call somebody that's like a close person to you. So it can be. It really can be positive. Really, it can be. But like you said, it's always gonna be that negative in the background, no matter what we do. It's to be some type of negative. There's always going to be, not to be specific, but a white person that just will never like the sound of the word, even if it's for their standpoint of not using it themselves or just not liking the word in general, because they don't like that it's derogatory either.
Mm-hmm.
I've bumped into that. They don't like it because they think it's negative towards Black person as well. So it's definitely one of them words that, it's a yes and no answer. It really is, Benji.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate that, Aquila. And listen, I know that it is a difficult one. And I don't, again, I mentioned this like during the question, like I get it. You guys aren't speaking for the entire community, but I love your answer in the way that you approached it. And I think, again, that should be a question that we're having, is really analyzing and being comfortable sitting in the uncomfortableness of this discussion. Because I think that that's really where a lot of this is going to start to kind of move towards where we're wanting it to go with this discussion, being productive. And people, I'm going to say it again, man, it starts with this book. Like I said, the discussion that we're having right now is riveting. You can't see me right now, but I'm on the edge of my seat. But head on over, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You got to purchase your copies, man. Again, Why the N-Word Should Be Controlled, my view from both sides being black and white. Check out the other two books that are slated to be released in the future, Two Worlds, One Mind, followed by 100 Deep. These are books you need to add to your shelf because not only are they entertaining, but they're going to do a lot of good and hopefully open your eyes, man, help you change some perceptions that maybe you had. And as we're talking about that perception, let's talk about some perceptions here. All right, so this is a conversation that is primarily geared around the Black community. All right, we got that. Well, let's not alienate other people here. Okay, let's talk about the reader that maybe doesn't come from the Black community. Not just the white reader, but that might be one of them. But readers from all different ethnicities and backgrounds, specifically the reader that had never had this word weaponized against them. So they want to understand. They want to get involved. And a lot of people that I speak to that don't come from this community, when we have conversations like this, man, a lot of them feel a sense of guilt, right? They feel a sense of pressure that they're taking on. Now, I'm not here to say whether that's correct or not, but that is a side effect, right? There is an alienation that inherently is built into this. And then we hear the term white guilt and all of that transpires. Again, a very broad question, almost unfair to ask, but let's play with it. Let's examine it. What is the most, or if not the most, what is an effective way, in your opinion, for those outlying communities to truly understand the weight without co-opting the pain that is associated with that guilt that a lot of people would feel?
Well, one, where we work, we deal with a lot of customers. The area that we are at is the borderline of Detroit, which we know majority of our Black culture, and a rich community, which still has a mixture of Black and white in their community as well. So when we brought this book to a lot of their attention, we were figuring out where it was going to go with this as well, how they were going to react. And actually, both sides have agreed to some terms of this book. All of them have read it. I have various conversations with many of the customers here, and they love it, from a couple of school teachers that have read the book to their students, as well as workers in factories, and they have passed the book along. So both cultures have read this book and gave me the same response. As far as when you said the old heads, yeah, it was it was an upper grasp, because some felt like they were still stuck in their ways from back then, where it was whites only or this and that. But if the times have changed, where now you're in a store where it's no white signs and white people are accepting us, they're trying to look at us for our acceptance now and not our flaws and mistakes of the past, but we keep some of those flaws and mistakes embedded in us, and it makes us look bad as a culture. Even though we try to separate or segregate ourselves within the Black community, no matter what, as a Black man, when you step into a place, you're already kind of looked at like, what is going to happen or transpire with this person? And using the word strongly in public like that to defend ourselves, the white culture, even though they emphasized it on us through history, through the roughness that we had to go through, now, they have made up for it and said, we don't like it, we don't approve it, we acknowledge, I'm not going to say all, but for majority of whites that have, my family have, we grew up in Detroit poor, but it didn't matter. We grew up with structure in our home. We grew up with, doing the right things. So I lived within a quarter mile of my Black and white grandparents, and they both were the same. There was no differences on how they treated me. Maybe me as a child, but the rest of the kids maybe got neglected. Here, you get picked out as your favorites.
Right.
But never come across separating or segregating myself from either one of the families to say I'm mostly this or I'm mostly that. I go by right and wrong, and that's another thing that made me write the book. I didn't want to be too much on the word itself and just constantly repeating the same actions or anything with it. It had to bring out not just myself and how I felt, but other people, the way they seen it. And I got white cousins that grew up in Detroit that used it, and they didn't care who was around and got accepted using it, to sometimes going to a farther, deeper part of Detroit where it's solid Blacks. And they're like, okay, we're not going to let you use this, because even though you're a white boy in the struggling community, you're still not Black. So we're not going to allow you to do it. So it opened my mind up to like, what is this word? Why is it so bad? Or why is it so strong? Or why is it used this way and not that way? So now being an adult and you go through it, you learn. The word is just wrong overall to me.
Okay, and you are definitely right when it comes to the old heads, because like I had both interactions. So being that I'm fully Black, he's mixed, but I'm fully Black, a little bit of Cherokee, and I have had both reactions. So let's say an older white woman see the title. Oh, that seems kind of interesting. Yeah, I might check it out, is what she would say. And then I'd go to an older Black woman. And I've had the same reaction that the white woman had, but the older Black woman also, another one said, oh, I ain't touching that. That title right there, that's too much.
Yeah.
So it really depends on how open your mind is, whether you're old, young, it really doesn't matter. But, being that I'm fully Black, handing out a book that says why the N-word should be controlled. So I know I get looked at kind of weird too, because I'm fully Black.
Yeah.
not mixed. So it's a different reaction from every different person. You never know, but we know that not everybody's going to agree and not everybody's going to disagree. It's a good thing to just open up everybody's mind.
And listen, and that's where I'm saying, like, people get past the title. Now, the title is provocative, all right? It's going to stop you in your tracks, and that's what it's meant to do. But get past it. And that's the reason why this conversation is so compelling to me, is because no one side is right or wrong entirely, right? Like, everybody has their stance, their viewpoint, and there's, like, this is such a layered conversation, and we're talking specifically about this one word, but I feel like it's so emblematic of a lot of things. Like, when we just look at our society right now and how divided we are, it comes down to a lot of similar things. Like, we allow things to become so divisive now. Now, I'm just going to put it out there. It's not the time for the discussion whether or not we're actually as divided as some of the media will portray. I don't really think that, but it's not to say that it isn't there. I just don't think it's as extreme as it's being made to put out. But that's for another conversation on another day. Right now, though, look at this. And yes, we're talking about it from one particular lens, but trust and believe, people, when you read in between the lines, like what they're both talking about here, in the answer that they just gave, it comes down to understanding, and it comes down to, like, Percy, when you were talking, man, like, it came from me, like I was hearing that, and I'm like, you're talking about inclusion. You're talking about acceptance. Whether you're in the white, the black community, and again, the N-word, got that. That's a very specific example. But essentially at its most fundamental point, that we're talking about understanding. And my goodness, how many people can look at this N-word aside and be like, man, I don't feel like I'm being heard right now. I don't feel like I'm being understood. And that's why I'm saying, people, this book is layered, man. There's a conversation, a very specific one that's going to ensue. But if I'm you, I'm reading in between the lines. I'm trying to see, is this premise something that can be viewed from multiple perspectives and multiple lenses? And if that's the case, okay, I think there might be some, because listen, I have conversations with people all the time when it comes to politics. People of Distinction is not a political podcast, but we have political representatives all the time. And I'm unapologetically Democratic, but please don't get me wrong. I don't think the Democrats have all of my best interests in hand. I just think they lean more towards my viewpoint. But again, neither here nor there. But I talk to people all the time, man, whether they're on the right or they're on the left, and we can actually have some pretty amazing conversations. And it's like, yeah, when I don't got Fox News screaming at me or CNN screaming at me, and I'm just meeting the person where they're at, oh, you don't seem like the devil. I think I could actually talk to you. I think we might be able to relate on something. And it's just interesting, man. So anyways, listen, I'm going to get off my high horse right now. I got a final question for both of you guys, and I think it's a great one to close out on. If we had the opportunity, and we can make sure we put this book in the hands of every single person in America, and you could instruct them to read just one single page or just one single passage from the book, what would that section be, and why do you believe that that's a core message that they would want to take with them?
The prelude, the first page of the book. The prelude is like the intro, the beginning, basically it's like a, what do you call it? Like a jump on in, type deal. It's like, once you read that first page, you're not going to want to close the book. And I've heard that from every single person I handed the book to. That first page, that's the one. And I'd say maybe the reference to, I don't want to say anything, but there's a reference to a movie in there. And that example itself is another way of saying, not saying the N-word without saying it, because the movie says it without saying it. And you can do that in a sense. But at the same time, if you bring it up, it's not going to hurt you as well, because it's just a word. But that first, that prelude intro, that's the thing right there. Because once you read that, you're not going to want to put the book down.
You read that, it's like, buckle up. Here we go.
Yeah.
And mine would just be the first page coming in, because it's relating to me. The whole intro is beginning me, but getting in everybody else. So for me, it's the beginning, that first page. I didn't try to get too in depth about myself. That would be in the second book. And based on a lot of things I encountered in life, how I lived, how I grew up, the choices and decisions I made, what was done or seen around me, to this book is going to be deeper in chapters and a harder cover. But yeah, mine is the first page, and it describes me and how I truly feel and how I think.
People, if you've been listening to this conversation, waiting for a simple answer or an easy slogan that you can just take and you can just post all over your social media, you probably missed the point. Listen, Percy and Aquila, they didn't write this book to make us comfortable. They wrote it to make us conscious. This book is available now, man, and it's the kind of book that stays with you long after the last page. I mentioned it before, I'm going to say it again, and I really believe it, man. The conversation is the most important part of this. Now, it starts with reading the book. You can't have the conversation if you don't even know the topic point, right? So purchase the book, read it, make sure that you are aware of the discussion at hand, but don't let it end there. I started off by saying I'm going to challenge each and every one of you, and that's exactly where I'm going to close. I challenge you. Purchase the book and start conversing. This is not a one-size-fits-all. This is not black and white. There are a lot of areas of gray, but this book is an invitation to step into someone else's reality. And I think, personally, that's an experience we could all use more of. So you know where to go, man. Get your copies today. Percy, Aquila, this has been an absolute honor. I really do mean that. Keep up the fantastic work. And once again, thank you both for being guests on People of Distinction.
Thank you so much, Benji. This was amazing.
Great experience. We appreciate everything and what you're doing and helping us. We're going to keep our moving.